room further down the corridor, as well as a training room for approximately 35 people. They conduct training seminars and that sort of thing. Beyond that, we have men's and women's locker rooms and shower facilities, as well as 2 dorm rooms that can house 2 firefighters each. We have a second floor, a set of stairs that takes you up to a mezzanine level up in the attic for our mechanical equipment and for general storage. We also have a small mezzanine area in the apparatus bay. It's a 16-foot tall ceiling in the apparatus bay. That decon area is a standard size ceiling of 8 feet or so. So above that there's excess space, so we're going to use that as a storage mezzanine, accessible from the apparatus bay. Another thing that I didn't mention is there's a series of support functions on the far side of the apparatus bay. Turnout gear room, that's where all the firefighters will arrive from home or wherever they're coming from. That's where they'll put on their gear before they go into the apparatus bay to hop onto the fire engines and go to the event. There's a sprinkler room that also has a fire pump in it. There's a cistern, that's this portion of the plan right here, that's below grade in that area to hold the water for the sprinkler system for the building. Because right now we're not sure that the town has enough water pressure for the sprinkler system in this building, so we have to have the water ready to go with a fire pump should they need it in this building. And then there's fire equipment storage, a maintenance room, and a compressor room. Exterior elevations for the way the building will look. This design has gone through several iterations. At one point we used to have a flat roof portion of a building over the apparatus area. A pitched roof over the 4-bay apparatus area, as well as a pitched roof over that admin wing that I showed you. So we think it's more in keeping with the architecture in the town. The siding will be cementitious siding. It'll look like clapboards, but it won't need to be painted as often. Plus or minus 15 years on the paint job for that. Asphalt shingles on the roof, and we have a metal roof band that goes around the perimeter to assist us with minimizing ice damming and that sort of thing, which we get in this climate. It's pretty straightforward.
I think so, yeah.
Any questions?
You want to just go over the site plan number?
Sure. To orient you, this is White Mountain Highway, and the post office is right here. The pump station, there's a beach across the street. So this site here is the chosen site for the fire station. The last time you may have seen this site plan, we were entering in on the south side of the site. We've moved the entry into the north side of the site so that we've flipped the building in order to have less excavation for the cistern that we were talking about earlier to save money. There's less ledge in that area. The water table's a little lower, so it made sense to flip the entrance and the building in order to accommodate, some cost savings in the site development. But you'll come in. There's one drive. It's about 24 feet wide, one curb cut. Apparatus will use that. Public will use it. The public will park in the front here on the left, come into that lobby area that I was talking about. This will be the apron area for the vehicles, the apparatus. And they'll be able to come in the back so that these 2 apparatus, we have 2 along the side.
The fire station, has that been addressed?
We looked at it. We felt one of two things, that either there is room right here to come the way they currently go, or they can come out of the trail and go around across 125 north of the fire station and then down to the beach, as opposed to south of the fire station. So either way, they got to cross the road in the same general area. It's just a matter of if they come down an extra 100 feet of 125 before they go into the park, or if when we actually get it constructed, it looks like there's enough room to come along the left side of that. So we did address it, but we didn't make any changes.
Larry?
Thank you. As I remember, you were able to take more advantage of solar lighting, natural light, and switching the window design as well. Winter sun angle and gable roofs. Do the two gables come in such a fashion that there would be a dead snow area formed by the pitch that would not be cleared by sunlight?
Can't see that on this drawing per se, but the way that these roofs work is there's a gable, a large gable over the front of these 4 apparatus bays.
Right.
And south sun's coming from this direction on this layout. This gable is this one right here. So this faces south, and as of those windows that you were just describing that we're using to take advantage of that extra solar radiation. So there's a valley here and a valley there. Any of the snow that might build up there is at least facing southeast, southwest, so it'll melt.
Neat. Thank you.
The area on that faces north is on the back side here. Nothing much happening on that side of the building.
Any reason you didn't go with the
I forgot to ask, can people please state the name so people at home can know who's talking?
Kari Lygren?
Thank you.
Is there a reason that you didn't use metal roofing? Just cost or?
Primarily cost. We felt that the image of it might look a little more in keeping if it had asphalt shingles on it. We do have, as I mentioned, a small metal roof along the edge of the eave, as well as over the front entry portico here. The rest of it is asphalt shingle.
The only reason I ask is because if you do collect rainwater, it cannot be used in gardens if it's asphalt, only because of the adhesives, but on a metal roof it can be, so something to think about.
Could certainly do something like that in the way of an ad alternative.
The other
reason
reason too that I wasn't really pushing towards the metal roof is I've seen a lot of them. The Gonic Fire Station was built in 1998, and that roof has already been repainted.
Really?
Yep. And
Wouldn't that depend on the quality that you initially purchased?
yeah, I don't
It's
know.
like
I don't know the
asphalt
quality of that
shingles,
roof, but
too.
I do know that it was repainted last year, and it
Yeah.
looked terrible before that.
Okay.
Yeah, they do have finishes that can last certainly 40 years, but you will. It's a quality
It's
issue.
like a
You will have to
shingle.
pay it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are 40-year lifetime shingles, and
Yep.
there
You can
are
go
architect
15.
shingles, there are, yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else? Ken?
Tim Long, did you consider solar panels for energy?
These two pieces of roof here face due south.
Mhm.
So if you wanted to, in the future, as long as we design the roof trusses to carry them, and they're fairly lightweight, those solar panels, you could put those in the future if you could get the money for them. If it made sense economically.
Would it-
Anyone else?
Would Kari Lagren, would the cost be different, that much of a difference to make the trusses a little more sturdy?
For the panels, you mean?
Yes, if you were to make them with that in mind down the road.
I suspect that with the snow load is probably gonna be the biggest load that we're gonna have to worry about.
Mhm.
The panels really are pretty light.
They are.
I don't imagine, at this point, we haven't looked at it, but I don't imagine it's gonna change the truss design much.
Thank you.
Honestly don't. Whether or not they'll collect snow and the efficiency in this climate, it's a tricky thing to predict.
Well, if there's no other questions on the design of the building, I'm gonna turn it over to Ekman to kind of talk about the bidding process from here to March and a time frame on some different things. And I think the selectmen are probably gonna have to weigh in on this to make sure they're agreeing with the bidding process and the time frames for warrant articles and that type of stuff. So with that,
Okay.
if you wanna.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things too that's important to
Please just state your name for that.
Oh, sure. It's Preston Hunter from Ekman Construction.
Thank you.
And also joined here by John DeLoya from Ekman. And John, nope, John. So one of the things that is different this year from past years, and I think we've been involved, is it 3 years now?
12, 13, 14, 15, almost 4.
Almost 4 years. So in the past, Gary has done about, well, not quite as much as you've seen here, and we've put budget numbers to those designs and put them forward for warrant articles. Last year, you approved design funds to really allow Gary to fully design it. So although you're just seeing 4 sheets there, there's actually a lot more work that's been done. Yeah, a large role. So
700 pages of bid documents and about 80 pages of plans and drawings.
right. So that will enable us to go out for bids for this project. And the timing is really, I mean, I think there may just be a few other design details that are being finalized. I don't know if electrical is completed, but I think we're getting very close to being in a position where we can go out for bidding. So one of the things we're going to do is try to get as much support from local contractors as possible, and Nick has already started with a list of names of those that have expressed interest, and we have a kind of a qualification form that gives folks the opportunity to talk about, work that they've done that's similar, and make sure that they can meet insurance requirements and all that sort of thing. And so we're hoping we'll get a strong support from the local subcontractor market. And then after the project is bid, we will have the opportunity to essentially crunch all the numbers and put them together, and that will end up being your warrant article. And as far as the timing goes, it's important to understand too that we won't be in a position to award any of those trades until the bond vote passes in March. So it will be important, I think, for us to maintain a competitive environment during that period. So there's things to think about as as we go through that process. The other thing to think about is it's probably better to try to bid later in the process, because we will be hoping and expecting that subs will hold their numbers for a number of months, because we're not in that position to actually make that award. So those are all things we're going to try to help manage with Chief Marique's input and your input as well. Anything else, Dan?
2 things. If John DeLoya with Ekman, if there are local subcontractors, please send your information to the chief so he can get it to us. The other, what Preston alluded to, is the timing. And this will take some information from you guys when the latest you can have everything together so that...
Do you have the calendar, when the latest we have to send warrant article?
It's up on the wall. No,
Yeah.
it's before February.
Yeah, it's before February.
That's correct. The point being, you want to bid it as late as possible.
Right.
We don't want to bid it December 1st if you don't need information until January 10th or
Right.
something to that effect. The later it is, the better off you'll be. Other than trying to bid it during Christmas week.
Right.
Well, and then I guess the question is, could you amend the warrant article at a deliberative session? in
It could be
February?
amended at deliberative, but she's getting the date right now.
Yeah.
Well, for a warrant article with a bond,
Yeah.
which is what you're talking about,
Right.
January 8th is the last day for voters to petition the select board. As far as turning one in, I don't know, I would assume it would be the same date, but I'm not sure.
Early January.
January,
And if anything changes, just let us know,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
sometime in December will be when we have to start to really figure that out and work towards that goal. But when you know more information, let us know before we start saying any
Good,
dates to
January 12th.
anybody. We'll make sure we're all on the same page.
She just told me January 12th is the date.
So, how long does it have to go to bid? 20, 30 days?
Yeah, it's typically
Yeah,
4
well,
weeks.
yeah. With Christmas right in the middle of that, kind of.
Tough time.
And then, when the bids come in, can you just go over the town's involvement in the selection process?
Sure, yeah. So, again, I think it will be important to keep the bids confidential so that, you know, because we have this time frame. But what we'll do is we'll go trade by trade and tabulate the results and basically provide a summary of who bid and what their prices are. We go through a process to make sure that they're apples to apples and that folks are bidding the proper scope. We sit down as a group and decide on what, you know, what the best selections are.
So it doesn't have to be necessarily be low bid, it could be, local could take it if it's competitive.
Sure, if
And it's a
there
little bit
are other
more.
factors, but,
Yep.
you know, at the end of the day, that,
Low bid is,
well,
kind of, lower the price the better.
well,
Well, you gotta get it passed.
yeah, yeah,
The lowest qualified bid,
yeah,
look at that way.
yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
Any other questions?
Any questions from the audience?
They're here now, guys. They have all the answers, I don't.
All right.
Just counting the number of yes votes we're gonna have. Thank you.
You guys have anything, Tom?
I don't, at this point, no. It's pretty straightforward. We now have a better vision of what we're gonna be doing as we did in the past, and that was one of the things we've heard from a lot of voters in the past, that they really didn't know what they were voting on as far as dollar amount. So we'll just go around, we'll have a better idea. So,
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
thanks, guys.
Have a good evening.
Yeah, you too, thank you.
This is mine.
Oh, that's Mike's copy?
I left his in my office for me to keep for him.
Alright.
One for you, one for Andy.
I got my copy. 2014?
Yep.
Yeah, I got my copy.
Did you bring it tonight? All right, I'll take this one back.
I just don't have all the pages stuck in there.
Except for this. This is a new one.
Okay, good. All right, up next, we have Tammy Webb from Vashon Kuke to go over the 2014 audit.
It's okay if I just sit at the table?
You absolutely may.
Okay. Okay, as you said, my name is Tammy Webb, and I am the Director of Assurance Services at Vashon Kuke Company. And I was the lead auditor on this past year's audit engagement. Similar to the previous year, the town essentially received two different opinions on its 2014 financial statements. You received an unmodified or clean opinion on your governmental funds, but an adverse opinion or materially incomplete opinion on your government-wide statements. And the only reason for that is because GASB 45, which was effective for the town, 9, has not been adopted yet. In order to do that, the town needs to have an actuarial study done to estimate the other post-employment benefits applicable for the town. And it's your health insurance and your dental insurance for your retirees and your current employees that are going to retire. And the only way to calculate it is to have an actuarial study done. I believe it may be less than $2,000 to have it done.
Okay.
And since you have less than 100 employees, you would only need to have it done once every 3 years. If you had it done and they said the estimated liability is, let's say, $5,000, we would say, don't bother doing it anymore. Based on that, we can say that it's fairly stated if you never had this actuarial study done again. But until we know initially what it is, we have no idea what your potential liability is. So, but I will state that you are not alone, and the overwhelming majority of our smaller municipalities have still not implemented this GASB 45, so you're not alone.
So what would the GASB 45, what would it do for the town? What does it, what's the benefit of
The
it?
one thing that it would do, it would let you have a completely clean audit opinion. It would say that it's unmodified. I'm not sure how the bond rating agencies, how they look at your financial statements if you have that adverse opinion. And maybe they'll give you a higher rating if you have a clean opinion. I can't say for certain.
Can we find that out? So can we find that out? How that would affect that bond rating?
How would I do that, Tammy?
Yeah, I don't know. 'Cause I would think that it's something that they look at, and since it's been that GASB pronouncement has been in effect for,
6 years.
5-6 years now, I would think they would start hoping that everyone has finally adopted it. I don't know if you have to contact Moody's or Poor's and Standards. I don't know that answer.
You maybe ask Jim, see if he can let us.
Or a finance director, maybe?
Yeah, finance director, yeah, that'd be a good one to start with. Mr. Brown?
Thank you, Larry Brown. Might I also suggest that you start with Pam Arnold, who has had considerable years of experience with the bond market and many contacts within the banking community.
Thank you.
Does she know? Okay.
Carla, you had your hand halfway up.
No, I'm just thinking.
So you're contemplating the question. That's what happened. I'm sorry, Tammy, go ahead.
Thank you. It's okay. Looking at your general fund and actual comparisons for the year ending 2014, your total revenues and your other financing sources exceeded your budgeted estimates by about $345,000. That favorable variance amounts to almost 9% of your total estimated revenues of $3.8 million. I think that's a great job in estimating your current year revenue. Very good job.
Okay.
Your total expenditures and other finance very good job managing the town's finances within the approved budget.
Thank you.
As I've stated in the past, your budgetary fund balance is what DRA typically uses to when they go to set your tax rate. You're changing your budgetary fund balance. You started at the beginning of the year, 12/31/13, at a little over $1.2 million. You had a favorable increase in your fund balance of $429,000, and you ended the year with a total budgetary fund balance of almost $1.7 million. Now, all of that is not available to be used to offset your tax rate. You have non-spendable portions for your tax-deeded properties of almost $27,000 and prepaid expenses of $81,000. Then another roughly $68,000 is committed for your carry-forward appropriations. The remaining amount of almost $1.5 million is considered unassigned for general operations. That $1.5 million is the total amount available to be used to set the tax rate. Now, the town's current fund balance policy states that you're gonna strive to maintain an unassigned fund balance between 5 and 15% of your total appropriations of your community. That's the town, the school, the county, and the precincts.
And that's from recommendation of DRA.
Right.
Can you just explain what the carry forward appropriations of 68,000 is?
I don't know specifically offhand. To 5 years.
That explains.
Communities. Almost 6. 2013, 8.38%. Now you're up to 14.1%. The town has done an incredible job of strengthening your fund balance position over the past couple of years. And you're right at the top of what your fund balance policy states, and that is great.
That's awesome. Thank you.
The other one thing that I really want to talk about is that, yet again, there is another new GASB pronouncement that is now out, and it is applicable for the town of Milton for the current year ending, for 12/31/2015. And it pertains to financial reporting for pensions, and in this particular case, it pertains to the town's portion of the unfunded pension liability of the New Hampshire retirement system. The key thing to know is that even though we have to add this to the financial statements, it's going to be a liability out there. This will not affect your general fund, and it will not affect your tax rate. So do not worry about that, okay?
Okay.
The liability that you will have to report in your 2015 financial statements, it's going to be based on a 12/31/14 actuarial figures of the New Hampshire retirement system. Currently, they're anticipating releasing those figures in January 2016. However, I do have a copy of the June 2014 actuarial report, and based on that, the town's estimated liability is 0.049% of the total liability, so yours is a little over $1.8 million. To give you an idea, again, you're at 0.049%. The entire state in the New Hampshire retirement system, that liability exceeds $3.75 billion. So, to give you a little more perspective of what this liability is going to do, it's only going to be reported in your government-wide financial statements.
Okay.
So basically, in your financials, exhibits A and B. It's not going to affect your general fund or all your different special revenue funds that are reported on. So it could be shown in the front. So as of 12/31/14, your total net position for the town, and this includes all your funds, all your capital assets, all your long-term liabilities. So your total net position was almost $6.5 million. And you had an unrestricted net position of over $3 million. Once we add this $1.8 million unfunded liability, it reduces your total net position to about $4.6 million, and the unrestricted net position to roughly $3 million. So again, this is an unfunded liability that you cannot just simply pay off. The town's particular estimated share, it's based on the contributions that you pay into the retirement system. So if you said, oh, I want to pay off this, you increase what you're contributing into the retirement system, and by default, it would increase your percentage of the liability.
Right.
So don't even think that. Nothing you can do about it.
So
And
this is basically, our portion is paid, the insurance is paid weekly, monthly, however they get paid.
yep, you get paid, well, this is the total amount that the retirement system in the future owes all of its retirees and the people on this, in the retirement system now that are eventually gonna retire. So in the long term, they are in a big deficit. And what this pronouncement is doing is basically sharing the, wealth is not really the right word, but
Right.
it's basically sharing this liability and distributing it amongst all the municipalities in the state. You guys are in a better position than I've seen other ones. Some of the larger school districts, they're gonna be in a deficit net position.
Wow.
So you guys can feel sort of relieved, I guess, to say that at least you're still in the positive. So that's a good thing. We do, or we will have the numbers. We've been getting them, we've been getting emails from the New Hampshire Retirement System saying when things are out there. So we will have these available. It's nothing that you have to provide to us.
Okay,
But we will have to test based on the information we receive.
okay.
Another thing that I wanted to mention, that there was one audit finding that we included in a separate management letter this year. It pertained to a lack of consistent documentation for individual employees' rates of pay. We noted of the sample we selected, there was one individual that did not have a rate of pay on file. In another instance, the pay form on file didn't agree to the rate actually being paid. And also shift differential rates were not clearly defined. However, I'm pleased to state that the town administration has addressed this finding and has instructed the department heads to make sure these pay rate forms are completed and updated every time that there is a rate change.
Good.
So that this won't happen again. Any other questions?
Any questions from the audience? Mr. Brown?
Yeah, I have one. The town tax rate, which is separating out, I think we've gone from, like, over the last 10 years, it's been like down to 20 and up to just short of 25. The town tax rate has been in a $3 window from about, it says from $12.75 to $15.75. During the same years that the fund has gone from 5% to 15%. $500,000, and being at 14.1 with a max of 15, what would be a prudent withdrawal from that fund for this tax rate, if any?
I usually don't tell exact amounts, but if you're comfortable bringing it down to say even 10%, I mean, you don't want to bring the tax rate too low and then have it hike back up next year. You don't want to make that hit on your taxpayers. You want to try to keep it leveled. So definitely, I would use some of it.
Right, no,
Um,
absolutely.
but I wouldn't go all the way down to the 5%.
No.
Thank you.
But, yeah, okay.
Okay. Anyone else? Questions? No? Guys?
Larry pretty much answered the question. That's
Yeah.
the question I was gonna ask.
Yeah. That's,
Thank you, Larry.
thank you, Tammy.
And I just want to say thank you for letting us serve as your independent auditors, and everyone here is great to work with. They get us the answers, and you're really great to work with.
Great. You have, and I'll
Appreciate
say thank you. You've done an excellent job. The firm has done an excellent job. We've had you. Very happy.
Thank you.
That's good news, really.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. We'll see you in a couple of months.
Okay, up next, we got Sarah McGraw from Stratford Regional Planning Commission to talk about Branch River Valley Scenic Byway Plan. It's a draft review. And you want to see Sarah?
Yes, I'm Sarah. I work for the Stratford Regional Planning Commission. Did you get a chance to, or get a copy, or get a chance to see the draft plan? I did bring a couple. I did bring a presentation. It might take me just a minute to set it up. It has like a screen projector and everything.
That's fine.
You want to see the presentation?
Yes, please.
Okay, sure.
If you can set it up where it can be seen by the camera, it'd be great.
Yeah, where is the camera?
Right there.
I see it plugged. I'm wondering, Larry, can I steal this?
You do not have the comfortable chair.
Right here.
We need to get more sophisticated. Yeah, no.
Should have brought an assistant.
Mr. Marie?
Manually chart.
I think we're good right now. I think being able to zoom in and out is what would be nice.
And the truth of the matter is, I'm not sure what happened that I can be turned
Do I
in.
can't mess with it?
It's working right now.
Right. Yeah. Bless you.
Bless you.
Okay. It's bigger. Alright. Like I said, my name is Sarah McGraw. I work for Stratford Regional Planning Commission. And we've been working with the town of Milton and Wakefield on the Branch River Valley Trail Scenic Byway. And I'll go into more discussion. Oops. So first off, I'd like to thank the Board of Selectmen for having me tonight, discuss and Liz for working with me throughout the process. Okay, so tonight we'll be talking about the National and State Scenic Byways Program, the Branch River Valley Trail Scenic Byway Facts, advisory committee members that are part of the national establish this program. So the vision of the program was to create a distinctive collection of American roads based on each byway's archaeological, cultural, historic, natural, recreational, and scenic qualities. So there's a couple levels of designation. So there's All American Roads, which is the top tier. Things that you would probably see like out west if you travel out there. So there's 42 of those nationally. There's National Scenic Byways. There's 108 of those nationally, and 3 of them are in New Hampshire. And then there are state designated scenic byways. So those are the local ones. So there are 18 in New Hampshire. I think 20 now, and around 4 between the Lakes region and Seacoast regions. So it's tough to see what the actual. This is a map of all the scenic byways in New Hampshire. And you can see where they connect. See if I can. It's hard to see on this one. There's like the Kangamangas. That's a big one. There's a Courier and Ives. They're kind of dotted all over the place. So if you get a chance to drive around and check them out. So a little bit of 109. And so it's known for its winding roads with views of rolling agricultural fields, historic buildings, stone walls, and industrial past. All of you know this, I'm sure. Try and get a little bit closer. As you see, it comes down, starts up by like Gage Hill Road, comes down, goes past the Wakefield Town Hall, it goes right past there, through that historic district. And you keep coming down 153, and you see where it branches off here up Appleby Road and into Milton Mills, and then it continues down Route 125, where it meets up with 75. Okay, so there actually have been a lot of people involved in putting this plan together. I'll go through a little bit of the history later on, but 2013 was kind of the beginning to get things going. So there's a longer list of people that were involved with that. They're called I think they're strategic marketing team. But so right now we have a advisory committee made up of people from Wakefield and Milton. So we have Denise Palmer from Wakefield, Pam Wiggin from Wakefield, Jackie Moriarty representing the Chamber of Commerce for Wakefield, and then Suzanne Foster Brown and Annie McKenzie. And John Cowick has also been instrumental in helping out. So we've been busy holding almost monthly meetings. So the first one was back in June 2013 at the New Hampshire Farm Museum, and then took a little break until April of 2015. We started things up again with the first informational meeting. And so we've been meeting at different areas in both Milton and Wakefield, which has been really interesting for me personally, just to see all the different historic buildings and places in this area. Okay, so looking at some current conditions. So like we said before at the beginning, so the national program took these intrinsic qualities or byway resources. So they're scenic, cultural, historic, natural, recreational, or archaeological. And so you kind of find within your community those special places that could fit into each one, or multiple ones. So the Branch River Valley Trail has 5 of those, so all of them except archaeological right now. So we find something really awesome. So this is what the cover looked like actually last week, but we kind of added some more photos of both Milton and Wakefield in there. So this plan is actually a requirement from the state. It's kind of a newer thing. So this byway is 20 years old, but the state decided that in order to maintain a scenic byway, you should have a couple things. You should have a plan to show people what's along the route and how you're going to market the byway, and also a corridor advisory committee. So you have members of the community that are involved. And those are the 2 basic requirements. Oops. So over the years, we've been collecting byway resources, so special places along the route that the towns would like to be noted. And so in Milton, this is just a snapshot, but it can be anything from I might say this wrong, the Mite Joe campground. That's a recreational one. Milton Townhouse, that's definitely historic. A lot of work's been done to that. The Milton Town Pound, the Milton Three Ponds Dam and Park. So those kind of areas that are special to the community that anybody. Town Hall and office. And feel free to stop me along any of this and ask questions. So we also look at traffic conditions. So we're just getting a little technical. So Stratford Regional Planning Commission actually, we go out and we take note of how many cars are passing along a given road. So this is an average annual daily count. So you see at the southern end, there's around 6,000 cars that pass through 125. And as you go up the route, as you can see that these numbers kind of drop off as you go further north. So, I mean, I don't have an answer for why those happen. People get off the route, they don't go as far, but it's just an interesting thing to look at. So we also want to look at roadway safety. We want to make sure that this route is safe for travelers to go up. So this is actually looking at crashes along the route. It's between the years 2004 and 2013. So the little dots signify a crash that happened along that route. So green means that it was it wasn't a really bad crash. And then as you go up to like yellow and red, those are pretty severe crashes up to a fatality. It might be hard to see from your point of view, but there's one red there and a couple yellows, but for the most part, and you'll see it's like see like the what's his name? The Old Man of the Mountain symbol, and you see State Cultural and Scenic Byway. So you'll see those dotted along the route. They are getting kind of old. And so the Byway Committee, that has been formed. The strategic marketing plan that is out for public review right now is nearing completion. And a marketing strategy is taking shape, and also working with the Moose Mountain Regional Alliance. Basically, it's a perfect time because they're trying to market this region and a little bit outside the other towns around this area, trying to get more visitors to the area and spending money at the various businesses and checking out your historic buildings. So we've been collaborating with that group as well. So thinking about some marketing examples for the future. A logo could be designed. Definitely business involvement, Chamber of Commerce, making sure that businesses are advertised in the plan so people know that they're there. Building a website so when people are planning their trips up north, they can stop by this area. Brochures, maybe thinking about some new byway signs put up in the future, and holding events. Such as I know a few years ago, John was talking to me about a bus tour that happens. And it sounded really interesting. They took people up and stopped at the various historical sites, and there was somebody to explain the site, and it sounded like a really good time to me. So that's something that could happen in the future.
Is the state looking at getting the new byway signs? Because don't they have to be kind of consistent?
Yes.
And
yeah.
the Man
So
of the Mountain has gone now, so.
yeah. Oh, you mean a logo like for the state?
Right.
I'm not.
Or are you just talking about
sure.
one for our region?
Yeah. So like the generic one that they put up, you can
Yeah.
get. That's what that is. That's a good question. I don't know if they're planning on rebranding their logo or not, but definitely welcome to make your own logo. So this is looking at Vermont, but Vermont has been a great example of the different byways working together and marketing each other. And you can see the various logos that they have. The General John Stark Byway, this is just an example of their website. So they have a byway map on there, different descriptions of what's along the route. I think I'll make it before it dies. Provide So looking at some next steps, so we're meeting here tonight to get some public feedback and approval from the Board of Selectmen for the plan. November 12th at the State Scenic and Cultural Byways Council meeting. So I will go to that meeting and basically to show them that we've met the requirements and that this byway should not be de-designated, because that's kind of what would happen if a committee wasn't formed or a byway plan wasn't made. So then the committee plans on meeting quarterly, and anybody's welcome to come to those plans, and we hope to get them better advertised so people can come and join the committee or just see what's going on there. So the first one is January 28th in conjunction with the Moosemet Regional Alliance meeting. So that's the end of my presentation. You're welcome to contact me anytime. I have cards, and we're in a public review period right now, so we're looking for any public comments. It's on the town website.
Are you incorporating all the features? Like, I know on Branch Hill Road, there's the son of the old man of the mountain, they call it.
Yes,
And then you've got the flumes on the Salmon Falls River. Actually, it's down the back of my house. And I mean, there's a lot of features I didn't see in here that I think kind of set Milton aside, apart from other communities.
Right. Yeah, that's important. We did discuss those at some of our meetings. One point was that there wasn't the flume. I think you kind of have to go through someone's private property. That's the kind of thing I got. Maybe there wasn't parking. I don't know. I could be corrected, but I thought there was something about that.
There's an access road that goes right down to
Really?
It's public?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, if anybody has suggestions and additions, we're definitely open to those even if when this plan is approved, it's a living document, so nothing is set in stone.
How are some of the winter activities we have here? For our lake towns, we have winter ski mobiles and ice racing.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we did mention that, recreational opportunities are abound in this area for snowmobiling. If there is a trail that, you want to point people in that direction to go skiing or snowshoeing, we can definitely do that. Yeah, definitely open to more suggestions.
Really, even the snowmobile trails are a great hiking trail even in the summertime.
Right. Any comments, questions? Mr. Brown?
I am in some cases Mr. Suzanne Foster Brown, who is desperately trying to give birth to a new computer and not lose the information from the old one, or she would probably be here. Suzanne can be reached at sfb@metrocast.net, 652-4306. And what I wanted to speak to is this coming as an outgrowth of long-term time that I have spent with John. I happen to have been the guide for the tour on Plummer's Ridge. And
What was that called? I forget. It's named after some Beatles song. Remember that was back when
It was named Historical Tour.
yeah, but no, wasn't it? It's some catchy name called.
Mystical.
ownership. And what's not part of this, but the same, what would be the usual unindicted co-conspirators, Annie McKenzie, Cynthia, Kathleen Shea, and Bob Bordeaux, in terms of another project being worked on, which is the Moose Mountains Regional Alliance, bringing the same interest in people and businesses along the Route 16 corridor. And we met, for example, at Bob's in winter, and the possibility of developing snowmobiles, trails, and other trail contacts in conjunction and working with Stratford Regional and Sarah, and I just blanked on Natasha, who had been working on that. So it's a wonderful thing. It does not cost the town anything. It preserves a wonderful tourist attraction, and it protects by making more visible the wonderful resource that we have in Plummer's Ridge. And that's what Suzanne would have said if she'd been here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will make sure she knows you did her proud. What else?
Just one question.
You just state your name for
Tim Long.
the audience. Thank you.
Tim Long. Thank you. Just one, 3 times. Yeah, just one question. How do you get the information out? Do you have a brochure that you put in the tourist information places, for instance, down in the state line or other places?
Yeah, so that's one of the ways to get the information out, and that's kind of the point of the advisory committee. So without them, I mean, the information probably wouldn't get out as much. So they will be thinking of ideas on how to fundraise and how to get those brochures out there. So definitely that is one of the plans. We don't have a brochure at the moment, but
Do you have a website that you?
We call it, we get the emails all the time.
Yes, I know, we get the emails, however, but do you have a website that someone can go to?
Oh, I look.
not, yes, yeah, that's just another thing that someone would have to, kind of spearhead
I see,
and put up. Yeah,
advertising.
Yep.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
yeah, thanks.
Sorry, Lag.
No, go ahead, Carrie.
Okay. All right, Carly Lagrant. Working with MMRA, I know that, will there be that's one of the things we can do is create a link from MRA to the scenic byway, I mean, and vice versa, correct? Now,
Yeah.
if we're already working on one,
Not unaware.
On the list of historical recreation that we got put together so far, we can add to it and we can take away from it. Some of the items that you brought up, Mr. Gray, we had on the list, and for one reason or another, and that one there was stated that it was a private land to get to it. The other one you mentioned was the son of the old man of the mountain, and that one also is no parking available, and it's not, if you'd done a tour, you'd have to take off from the scenic byway to go up over that steep hill, as you know, and we decided not to, but I would suggest, if it's okay with you, Sarah, that we're open, and I'd be more than glad to supply, especially to the Board of Selectmen, or even publicly here in the town hall, a list where we're at today of what we selected for the town of Milton.
Yeah.
Wakefield is available also.
I think that's in the,
It's
yeah,
in
that's,
that handout that you got.
yeah, it's in there,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. But I mean, if anybody else in the public, would like to see it and make some recommendations. There's several historical places in Milton, there's a lot of public people aren't aware of. And I'd like to just mention one, just to give you an idea what we're looking at, that's really a huge, huge benefit for this town of Milton, for tourists, when this is done. And one of the places, out of many, is up on Plummer's Ridge. The Milton Townhouse, you go up across from Index Packing.
Yeah.
There's a home there by the name of used to be a
Yeah.
homestead. Let me just read you just quickly the history to that building. And I'm sure a lot of people in town don't know it. This is one of the first houses built on Plummer's Ridge in 1770. First licensed tavern in Milton. First religious meetings conducted here. Papers separating Milton from Rochester were signed in the southeast room in sight of the first town meeting, 1802.
Wow.
Just so, the benefit is huge for what the committee's doing.
I mean, there's no doubt, there's a lot of history in this town.
Yeah, and it'll definitely bring the tourists, and it shows a little bit of that there on just what they got from the DOT.
I do have a question for Sarah. Is this brochure you handed to us, is that electronic? Do you have it electronically?
Yes. So I think, Liz, is it on the website, the town website?
I don't know if it's on the website or not.
Oh, for some reason I thought it was, but yeah, we can,
Maybe.
I'll definitely make sure that is electronically available.
Do we have the space on the website for it? I mean, I know,
And
yeah,
it's also,
let's make sure we do it. But if we have the space, I'd love to have it on there and let's get it out.
you can also go visit our website. It will be available on our website as well.
Okay.
Stratford.org. Pretty simple.
Somebody had a hand up over here. Yes.
Janice Long. My question is, I was only able to attend one of the meetings this summer, but is there any limit to the number of people from the town who could go and attend and learn what we're trying to do?
No, I mean, as far as who can be on the committee?
No, not who can be on the committee,
Oh.
just like, well, for instance, Tom, you mentioned something about you hadn't heard that much about it. But maybe you were getting at something else, I misunderstood.
Yeah, no, I don't, yeah.
But, is anybody allowed to go to those meetings?
Oh,
I mean, we
for
got
sure.
the,
And I think, so for the past couple of months, we've been trying just to get it organized and, so we can give information out. But yeah, definitely anybody's welcome to come to the meetings. And if you're interested tonight, I can take down your email information and make sure you get on our email list. Because that's how people know right now about the meetings, is that they go onto our website, but they also just get emailed out to the people on the list. So we welcome anybody and everybody from town. Yeah.
I was just thinking about how busy we get, particularly I think in the summer, so that if the dates were known ahead of time, more people could schedule their time better, because they are
Right.
very interesting meetings.
Yeah.
I learned a lot.
We'll work on
Just do
that.
one.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Just for the public, the next one is, you said is the 28th,
January 28th.
and where will that be?
I don't think they've decided on
They haven't had a venue yet? Okay,
But,
thank you.
yeah, I'll work with Liz and get that information out there.
You know, we possibly put those dates on our website as well.
Cool.
Meeting dates, times, places. So,
Awesome.
all right. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. So maybe that might be your next step, but I think you were looking for some kind of general agreement approval from the Board of Selectmen. Just to say that,
We're on board?
I'm part of the plan, yeah.
I know I am. Guys,
Yeah, definitely.
we're on board.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Out of your way.
Good job. Very good job. Thank you.
So, do you need a formal motion?
No, maybe.
Yes, Mr. Brown.
My civil service part, it would probably be useful to Stratford Regional as an entity to have a motion of support.
We can do that.
I'll make that motion.
If we do them, if it would benefit them, sure.
What's that?
If it would benefit them, why not?
To approve the goal for the Branch River Valley Scenic Byway Path Strategic Marketing Plan.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, let her break down first for a second, then we'll be on to the next one. Okay, up next we have the town clerk and motor vehicle registration refund. You want to talk about this one a little bit?
If my memory serves me correct, this is the resident who registered his vehicle, could not pass inspection.
Correct.
Historically, once the state has refunded their portion, the town has followed suit.
Right, but what I'm reading here, it says he renewed his registration for a 1999 Mazda pickup, but he's getting a refund for the registration of a 2000 Dodge Ram pickup.
No, I think I can submit you another letter. I bet you I used a format from,
So which one is correct, Mazda or the Dodge?
I'd have to go back and look at the registration. I think I probably used It's for the 1999 Mazda. That's what the registration's for.
Okay, so the Dodge Ram pickup is incorrect. All right.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
Hey,
Sorry
Michelle.
about that.
No, it's all right. I was trying to tie it together, and it just didn't make sense, but thank you. Have a motion, guys?
All right, I'll make that motion to, well, Michelle to make that registration refund.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I need to sign that.
Thank you. Next thing up on the agenda, asked to put on there is the review of the 2010 internal control audit we had done. Asked our insurance company, Primex, in 2010 to go through and talk to all of the departments, find out where we need improvements and where it needs to be done. And so I don't know if you guys.
I didn't.
You have not?
No.
Okay. So, I mean, I have reviewed it. I'm assuming some of the stuff I've read and highlighted, and I mean, I don't get too far into it because if you haven't looked at it, is we've implemented, and some of the things I don't believe we have. And I'll just make the statement again that I am a very firm believer when you hire an attorney, you follow your attorney's advice, you stay out of trouble. If you hire an insurance company, you follow your insurance company's advice and you stay out of trouble. So I want to put this back on the next agenda. Please, guys, please read this for the next agenda. I really feel that we should be taking the advice that was given to us, was offered to us in 2010.
I reviewed it, and
Yeah.
most everything is being done.
I kind of thought so.
90 to 95%
Yeah.
is being done, and the 5% remaining is either outdated or it's been updated or something to that effect.
Okay. Make sure it's just on the next agenda so you can talk about it. All right. We're going to table that till the next meeting. Okay, now we have, looking for a motion to expend and reimburse for library repair work. And this is for Mills Construction.
I'll make that motion. I'll move to authorize the public commission to proceed in hiring Mills Construction to conduct repair work at the Milton Free Public Library at the cost of $2,866.85 and $2,044.15 for a total of $4,911, and to pay for this out of the general fund.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
And then I'll move to authorize the reimbursement of $4,911 to the general fund, with $2,866.85 to come out of the 2005 Free Public Library Capital Reserve Fund, and $2,044.15 to come out of the 2014 Free Public Library Repairs and Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, guys. Okay, next up we have debt service budget. And just so the general public knows, this is an item that used to be named let us know what's
Sure.
okay, thanks.
Let's see. So, As you know, the annual fire truck bond payment has been put into this budget. That's the first item that you'll see under line 151. That's the principal portion of the payment. This particular budget is broken down into two sections. The top section is principal, the lower section is interest. You'll see the difference in the 4-digit chart of accounts by the DRA. So the 4711 lines are basically principal, and then the 4721 lines are basically interest.
Okay.
So that's that. Line 161 would be the 2016 John Deere grader, principal only. You'll see the amount over in the furthest column. Line 162, bond principal for a tax anticipation note. That's at $1 as it has been for the last few years. Line 541 is the, I got it mixed up. Line 541 is the fire truck. Line 151, the first one, are the 3 dump trucks for the
Okay.
highway department. And then you'll see there's a blank line, so you go down to the next section, which is the 4721 lines. So the first one would be the 3 dump trucks, interest only, as part of the annual payment. The next line, 161, is the grader, interest only. Line 541 is the fire truck, interest portion only. Line 551 would be the interest that you have to budget for a tax anticipation note if you have to go out and get one.
Right.
That's $6,000. That's been that way for a few years now. And then line 899, unanticipated expenses. And you'll notice over in the description column, I added in payment number 2 of 7, payment number, 5 of 7, or
So you have to have those.
peek at it, because they
Patient, huh, Bob? Yeah. Have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
And that's for a total of $159,038.19. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, we have the annual health trust contract. And again, Liz, I want to ask you, you can just kind of go over this, some of your,
Sure. Yep. So Health Trust is an organization in Concord. It's part of the New Hampshire Municipal Association. They have 3 or 4 different divisions. Health Trust is one of them. That's the division in which you can get insurances from, and the town of Milton, for its full-time insurances, offer dental insurance and life insurance through
Right.
the Health Trust. So those rates came in, and this is the contract to approve those rates. It's an annual contract.
right,
And it also offers, as you can see, that's checked up at the top on the last page, COBRA billing and retiree billing. That means they take care of the billing to the retirees and to anyone who's on COBRA. And incidentally, the life insurance rate has remained the same for 2016 as it is in 2015, and the same for the dental insurance. There were no increases or decreases for those 2 insurances.
oh, okay. Motion to approve it, guys, or what are your thoughts on it?
Make that motion to approve the health trust.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Top line?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank Thank you. Okay, approve the minutes.
Okay, we had held these off last time. Did everybody get, both of you guys get a chance to
Yes.
read them over?
I did.
Okay. So, on the 2015, October 5th, non-public minutes sessions 1 and session 2. We had previously sealed these,
Right,
definitely.
yes.
On every one of these. Motion to approve 15, October 5th. Regular minutes, October 20th, special meeting, October 21st, regular meeting. And if it's okay with you, we'll skip right down to the October 26th, it's a special meeting again.
Yep.
As written.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We don't need to sign this one, that's not, it's NA.
Right,
Yeah, so,
but, okay,
because that was a,
lack of a quorum.
well, it wasn't just 5 o'clock, it wasn't posted.
No,
in
that was the
time.
13th. That was the October 13th
Okay.
minute. So this one, there was a lack of a
Okay. That's fine.
Okay, the last two, these are non-public minutes. First one is October 21st for the first session. Approve those minutes, they've already previously been sealed, definitely.
Okay,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the October 21st, 2015 non-public minutes, second session. To seal the first sentence, second sentence, and release the third sentence.
Yep, and that was done previously.
Yes.
Okay,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's it. Okay, this is another one that's, another copy, NA, just stick it on the website like that. This one, my copy.
Edit.
Thank you. Okay. As soon as we get all the signatures.
Yep. Oh.
Okay, yeah, I missed Andy's. Okay. Thank you. Up next, expenditure report. Anything?
Outstanding? No.
No?
Really. One was sent out Friday, I think.
Yeah.
That's the most recent one.
Okay, I didn't see anything earth shattering or anything that picked up a line. I think we're doing okay.
Yeah.
See, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I do too.
All the departments,
Yep.
pretty good.
Yeah, you know, I would like to thank all the departments for kind of keeping a close eye on it this year. It's doing a good job. It's greatly appreciated. Okay, administrative comments.
I only have one item, and that has to do with my employment contract.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to give you some notice that in accordance with the contract, if, as you know, my contract will be expiring April 8th of
Right.
2016. And in accordance with the contract, you have to notify me in writing by December 8th
Any changes?
if you're gonna renew it or if you're not gonna renew it. And if you're not gonna renew, the contract will simply end on April 8th. And if you are going to renew, the negotiations must be completed within 60 days, beginning on December 8th.
Okay.
And I did speak to Attorney Sessler
Mm-hmm.
today and asked him if he could be available for the three of you, if you need to consult with him or have him draft up the contract or, you know, anything, and he's definitely available.
Okay.
If you need to ask him questions or
Yep.
anything. And that's all I have for open session. I do have a couple of things in non-public.
Okay, selectmen's comments. Andy.
On the rec department, the basketball for the young kids is sign up. They're gonna start that this Saturday. So if you wanna sign up, for the basketball, for the rec department, that's gonna be starting soon this Saturday. So there's still some time to sign up if you wanna put your kids in the basketball program. I just really want to thank, for the department heads, listening to the audit. I mean, we really have a good bunch of employees here.
Yep.
And I really want to say just thanks for keeping a tight grip on your budgets and spending and your expenditures, and I think you're doing a great job. I'm really pleased with that audit. Do you have anything on the library, John? Did you have anything you'd like to say in the library?
Only the new item that's surfaced on sand the floors upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
You're up to speed on that, I'm sure.
I will be.
Yeah, there's an Eagle Scout that's volunteering to sand the upstairs floor and finish it.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna do a presentation at this Thursday night, I believe.
Right.
I'll offer to give him my services and train him how to run the equipment, to do the sanding. I've also suggested to the state LCHIP people Friday when they were here to do a visit, which they okayed, second payment for the library, with no problem. And I presented them with, would it make sense for us, meaning either the library trustees, and Lori's more than willing to write another grant, she loves doing it, to help this Boy Scout, Eagle Scout, with the cost of generating the funds to do the floor. Because he is planning on doing fundraisers and whatever it takes to do it, so this might help him.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be presented Thursday night at the library trustees meeting.
Okay. And he's filling out a waiver form and all that, taking care of all that liability waiver.
Well, yeah, before he's gotta do
Okay,
that,
yeah.
right? Yeah, he's gotta do that.
Okay. Awesome. Good.
Okay.
Anything else, Andy?
That's it. Thank you.
Mike?
Okay, so we've had no ZBA, we've had, they canceled the next meeting for the Milton Economic Development Committee. There's nothing going on there. The budget committee, they just got through all their presentations. Now it's time to go to work. Other than that, I had looked at, I'm hoping Pat and all the other chiefs, both chiefs, to get involved. I talked to the town administrator over in, pardon me, in Farmington. Mr. Capello, I think his name is. What's his
Oh,
name?
the building inspector?
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
I-
it used
I-
to be the building, Arthur,
Yeah.
yeah. Used to be the building inspector, yeah.
Yeah.
He's now the town administrator.
He's a town administrator over there?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that. Wow.
So he was talking, I had asked him, actually, my goals when I went over there, I actually went down to the town, Farmington, where they fill up their own trucks,
Mm-hmm.
and asked them, what's the mechanics, and if, we
Right.
join together, something like that. Anyway, my journey led me to the end with Arthur Capello, talking about what they call the WIX program. And it's a credit card program, that they get a special rate. It's even cheaper than you can buy the gas down here as just a resident.
Really?
Yeah, and they're issue card. There's a whole lot to it. I haven't gotten into it. I was gonna go over with Liz, the WIX program, and then invite Pat and the two chiefs to take a look at it too. They get a credit card that has an identification number on it. So when they use it, it's placed on that vehicle with that officer or
That
employee, I should say. Doesn't help much with the diesel, but you're not locked into just going down to the city barns. You can go down, or the Rochester barns, but you can go up to the Irving, and you pay even a better price for it than you would at the city barns. So,
Would that work in town, Cumbies, or?
yep,
Yeah.
yep,
This is for fuel
Yeah.
only?
For gas,
For gas
one?
only?
gas and fuel, and
Oh,
fuel,
and
diesel.
diesel, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, I mean, if you're in Milton Mills, you might be better off to go to Wakefield
Right.
rather than go all the way down to.
Oh, absolutely, I mean, I
There's
think, if-
Irving out there that we use.
yeah.
Just something to
Okay,
think about.
yeah,
something to throw
it's
out there.
absolutely, just another option, yeah. So, okay, thanks. Anything else?
Nope, that'd be all.
Okay, planning board, we have next meeting's tomorrow night. I just kept it on my thing for a note to remind me of the Primex thing we've discussed, we've been discussing again. Insurance budget. I was wondering if we could have a list of what we're paying for insurances, so we can know.
Oh, I sent that out. I sent that out last week to all of you. It was an Excel sheet.
Okay, I'll look.
I had
If you said you did, I believe you, but I probably,
lost in all the
yeah.
scores and scores of emails that I send out.
Well, not just you, I get a ton of them every day, so I'm sure it's there. I'll look it up when I get back, when I get
If
home.
not,
So
let me
let's-
know and I'll resend.
On my excellent statement I made today about the minutes, so that I want to make sure that I stated, I can't remember if I said it or not, that we did seal the minutes indefinitely. So I just want to make sure that that was there. Dunkin' Donuts and Dollar General, there's going to be a ribbon cutting. We need to think of a day when we can do that for a grand opening, even though they are already open. They want to have a ribbon cutting ceremony. So, I'm thinking of Saturday morning. So,
That's Saturday's
huh? Okay. So, I'll get with Jerry Coogan on that. He's talking to Dan over there, and well, maybe be like Saturday morning, 10 o'clock, something like that. So I'll see if this Saturday okay with you guys.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. I wanted to bring this up, and that's why Pat's sitting back there so patiently. And it's got to do with his loader. We just had transmission work done to it, and what we feared may happen, happened. And when, just to back it up and tell you, when there was a request made by residents to pick up some asphalt shingles, and we went out to pick up the asphalt shingles, lost the motor. So now we have a loader with a dead motor.
Loader with a dead motor.
Loader with a dead motor. So, Pat, please correct me if I'm wrong. To replace the motor, we're looking at about $25,000 for the motor, about $5,000 for rental. It's gonna be at least a month if we go that way. And that's not counting pickup and delivery. That's another, probably at least a couple $1,000 to bring it to wherever it's gonna go, either Concord or Hopkinton, I'm assuming. So we're looking at going that way. It would be in excess of $32,000 to $35,000 just for the motor. That's on top of the transmission we've done. That is not considering the fact that if we chose to go that way, once we get that done, it's gonna need tires soon. We're talking another $16,000 for tires. After the tires, because if we chose to fix the engine, this being the main piece of equipment, we would have to have the pins done for the bucket, for the articulation. So we're probably talking, and this is just a guesstimate on this one, $4,000, $5,000 there. So, this thing, as you can see, is starting to cost us money. We looked at some options. I asked Pat to look at some options to come up with. He was here at the last meeting with Andy and I, and Mike, you couldn't make that meeting you were busy over in Maine. Find out where we can come up with money to replace the loader. He got some options. He got a quote from Cat for a new loader of one's $199, one's $240. Nortrax for a John Deere 524K for $124,750. And they also they were generous enough to give us a price with $26,000 trade. That's after we put the motor in it. So after you spend $30,000, they'll give us $26,000. Didn't make a lot of sense. So I asked Pat, okay, look to see where we can get the money without. My big thing is I don't want to touch the budget if we don't have to. I'd rather find money other places. So these are some of the places we've looked, and well, I shouldn't say I asked Pat to do the work, he did it. Road reconstruction, there's about $15,773 there. We just received a check for FEMA for a disaster that happened last year for $15,400. Highway Special Equipment Capital Reserve Fund has $49,157, and the transfer station revolving account has $154,000 in it. So it's up to the board what you want to do. I don't think we're rolling the dice by putting more money into this
So
thing.
we needed the money for the FEMA, we used our money, then we get reimbursed for it.
Correct.
So where did that money, the money we used, where did that come out of?
Pat's line.
Where did that come out of, Pat?
Out of my budget.
Out of your
Yeah.
budget?
Yep. Last year's budget.
Right. Any particular place in the budget?
Well, it was distributed through salt, sand, fuel,
And labor.
labor.
Overtime.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I believe.
What are you suggesting, Pat? What do you suggest? It's a tough
I really
one.
don't know which way to go on it,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. I mean, I spoke up the last time and said, let's spend $25,000 and put a transmission in it, take our chances, and
We did.
now we're looking at $35,000, and
And if we get it
It's
back,
just
we can put
like,
tires on it relatively
you know,
quickly.
so I don't know.
So like worst case scenario, we get through all that pins and tires and motor, we're looking at about $65,000.
It's the
Around
loader's
55.
getting tired, and we've probably got, we got 50,000 in it now. If we put another 35 in it, we're gonna have 85.
Yep.
We're almost buying a new loader, so.
And then you get the pins, tires and stuff on top of that.
Right, that's
And-
the steering pins.
Yeah, the steering pins, articulation pins, bucket pins. I mean, if this was just a yard truck, those things probably wouldn't be as critical because it wouldn't be going down the road with pedestrians or traffic. So, another thing we want to keep in mind, we just went through a bout where we lost hydraulic system on the grader, not the grader, the excavator. And this isn't that far off on the age of what the excavator was, so that scares me that we may be looking at that somewhere down the road. Not an easy decision. But we're in the season where we're gonna be needing something fast.
I will add, you know, you guys, Wade is a very smart mechanic, and you know, and he knows what he's talking about. Another heavy mechanic today about, you know, this loader. He said that, you know, you're going to be putting good money to a piece of bad equipment, unfortunately. It just doesn't make sense, you know, to keep putting all this money into a piece of equipment that's 13, 14 years old, you know, and you still don't know when you get it back, something else is going to go wrong with it. And we really need that piece of equipment. Winter is coming, and I mean, if it breaks down, it's $5,000 a month. And it's just, that's putting good taxpayers' dollars to bad equipment. And I just, you know, I don't think it's feasible to keep dumping money into an old piece of equipment when, you know, it's a hard decision to make, but I just think that we should move forward on getting something that's going to be reliable for the winter. You know, that thing does all the sidewalks, it does all the snow removals, it's in Milton Mills, it's everywhere. It's loading salt trucks. If we don't have it, there's going to be a lot of upset people. And I just think that we should move forward.
Eric?
What is the cost of a new loader?
$124,750.
I understand the need for a loader. I'm not arguing that, and I agree you're an excellent mechanic.
Yeah, $124,750.
And I think we've all struggled at one point with that decision. Do we keep the old beast limping along, or do we invest in a new vehicle? Is that a decision that can be made without the voters?
If we have the money sitting, yes. If we had to raise and appropriate more money, we have to go to the voters. And that's why.
Not that I can speak for all the town people, but knowing the discussions that have been going on in social media, that
I
would
know.
cause outrage.
I know. Oh, believe me, we've talked about that already.
And there'll be caused outrage when the sidewalks downtown aren't getting plowed for the kids to get to school.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, unfortunately, this is, you know, we didn't unfortunately ask for this to happen. It's unanticipated things that happen with machinery. You know, you live on a farm, and things happen, and...
Like I said, I'm not arguing the need for it. I'm just saying that this is a decision that would, in my opinion, it would be good to get the public's opinion on.
Yeah, then we'd have to wait till March or whatever. And then we're through the winter. We already spent $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 on rental that we can't recoup.
Winter will be over by the time we get to that.
Yeah. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you, Eric. But I'm just saying, we're not looking to raise and appropriate any new money. It's money that's already being out there. It's already being taxed on. I was pretty adamant. You can ask Pat. I was pretty adamant that I did not want to go into the budget. I mean, Pat's got some extra money in the budget only because of lack of employees. I really didn't want to touch that. And I figured if we could just use the revolving account for a certain portion of it, probably the lion's share come with the revolving account, and that's basically what those accounts are put there for. Highway special equipment, I mean, that's what it is created for, that type of thing.
If it's within the purview of the Board of Selectmen to make that decision if the money is available to be spent, would you consider at least holding a public hearing and
letting the public know to show up and speak one way or the other to see how people feel?
We can do that.
As a courtesy?
I'm not not opposed to doing that, but we have
I'm
to, we have to be up to
anticipating the
date.
outrage, I mean.
Oh,
I
trust
know
me,
you do.
we've talked about that already. We know what's gonna happen. Public hearing, we have to have 2 weeks' notice for a public hearing?
Well, it could be just an agenda item to save the cost of a public hearing notice. You could schedule it and publicize it, you know, on the website and on the camera.
Yeah, I mean, because this wasn't even on the
It doesn't
agenda.
really qualify for a
No,
public hearing.
yeah, no, okay. No, good point. Very good point.
I totally agree with you, Eric. I don't want to spend any money.
Well, I don't want to wait
you
2
know?
weeks.
And like I said, I'm not
But-
arguing one way or the other, I'm just saying that.
No, you're making a good point.
To spend $125,000 without getting the feedback from the public or giving the heads up, that will anger a lot of people justifiably.
Yep, no, very good point. You're right, because it wasn't posted on the agenda, so if it was, maybe more people would have been here.
And hopefully people will show up and say, yeah, we need a loader.
John?
That's a good point.
Tom?
Yes, John?
Yeah, John Cowick. I understand Eric's point clearly. The problem is that I see is that we better decide before we leave here tonight that we're gonna go ahead and give approval to lease a loader for a couple of months, which is $10,000, correct? That's a decision that's gotta be made before we leave here, that's my opinion. So,
I disagree. If that had to be made in this meeting, it should have been on the agenda, and it wasn't.
that wasn't my point, but yeah, okay.
I'm sorry, Carrie. I was running numbers in my head.
What's the expected life of a new loader? You
They
said this
figure
one's
about
13
they
years
figure
old?
about 10,000 hours, and depends on what you use
What
in
you're
a year.
using it
We've
for.
got almost we got 9,000 on ours, and
Special
we've had it
meeting?
for-
Yeah, that's one.
And you bought it new?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Next week?
Either at the end of this week.
So,
I'll go check the
So
boards.
just
Either
under the
Thursday or
10.
Thursday.
How many hours a year do we put on it?
Special meeting, just for this item.
Oh, boy.
A lot.
Yeah.
use it for everything.
Yeah, it's, I mean, in the wintertime, it
Yeah.
runs between 40 and 60 hours a week, every single
You should
week.
announce it on
And
camera.
then it runs all summer long,
Yeah,
with
well,
road construction,
I know,
it runs for
make
spring
sure.
cleanup,
You know, a
it
lot of
runs
people
the
don't.
transfer station on the
Stuff.
weekends.
Okay.
The thing runs 7 days a week.
Oh, no.
The only time it doesn't
Never
run
gets a
is
break.
No, Eric has a very
on
good
holidays.
I know how
Yeah.
it feels.
I know how it feels, really.
Yes, Pat.
My only concern is that if we don't put something in place and we get some snow while we're waiting for a hearing.
I'm thinking about a special meeting later this week, Thursday. I mean, you don't have to be here, I know you're on vacation. And if we can do a Thursday meeting, something like that. So, I mean, I could field the questions, and, I mean, I agree that we need to move fast. But I also agree with what Eric's saying. Hindsight being 2020, maybe we probably should have put something on the agenda for it. We get an opening.
This Thursday, the 5th is open, next week on Tuesday, the 10th.
Let's shoot for this
open,
Thursday, the 5th.
And this Friday and next Friday. That's
Yeah.
it, the whole
Okay.
month is booked.
This Thursday. Okay, yes, Michelle.
Public
Just
meeting.
remind you, next Tuesday you have an election.
Yeah, I said
So
Thursday.
you wouldn't be here.
Huh?
You're not available.
I said Thursday.
I know.
Yeah, Tuesday's the
What
elections.
time
What
would it be,
time?
Tom?
Let's do a 5:30.
Okay,
I won't be able
What?
to make it.
Okay, what time can you make it?
I don't get out of work till 7 o'clock.
Oh. Okay,
But you have quorum.
yeah. There's people at work.
Fridays are open.
Yeah, nobody wants to do a Friday meeting.
There's nothing else available.
Let's do this Thursday at 6 o'clock. I mean, you okay with that, Mike? I mean, if you're not gonna be here, you all right with that, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I really want to act on this fast.
Okay, so this Thursday at 6 o'clock here.
Yep.
Okay, loader discussion.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay, and just for the viewing audience, we are going to hold a special meeting this Thursday at 6 o'clock to address the town highway bonds loader, repairs needed, replacement
Yeah.
Disbursement would be done, what impact that would have on the operating budget for the remainder of the year.
Operating budget, none. That's why you don't want to touch the operating budget.
That there was $15,000 from the FEMA reimbursement. That money was spent by the department, and
In 2014.
and it all
So-
went out in salary.
No, in 2014 that was spent, and the budget's already been approved in 2015.
Right, just
So,
that if there were, so to speak, capital items, which were in that FEMA, that material is still something that the highway department needs. So just,
correct.
but, yes. One question, did you like the color pink, at least?
The color pink?
Paint?
Oh, the color paint.
Yeah, everything else is going wrong. Did you like the color pink?
So far, we'll see. Nick?
What color?
I was just gonna, for clarification, that was the blizzard this winter, that money,
January.
the January.
Oh, it's
blizzard.
okay, so it was 2015. I thought it was December. My mistake, I thought it was December. So,
2 questions.
What?
2 questions on this. I know you're gonna have discussion about it.
right.
Pat, this, if they go with the 124,750, the size of that John Deere, what is that relative to the one you have now? Is that
Same size.
same size? Okay. And what happens to the old loader?
It's gonna sit right there. Not trading there, which one's not?
Pocket right next to that plow? It's got all
put it in
painted
the
up?
pocket, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions or comments on? Yeah.
Thomas McDougal. I remember before, when we were discussing the loader before, there was talk about maybe using the old loader as like a yard truck.
Yes.
Any chance that we would be able to maybe figure out how to resurrect it for $20,000 and use it as a yard truck sometime in the future?
That was a discussion that we had when we talked, not right away, but at some point in the future, pull it aside and see if we can do something like that. Because, again, as a yard truck, you don't have to worry about the pins.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't have to worry about the tires. So, I mean, there's things like that. It wouldn't be used as hard, so. I mean, that's a discussion we had, and that's based on the fact they wanted us to pay them $4,000 to take it as a trade. I'm gonna get a couple. Mallory, and basically he says, I want to thank you very much for your help with the removal of the shingles problem we had on Micah Terrace. Everyone on Micah Terrace are so very pleased to have their walking path back. Again, many thanks to you. And this is to the Public Works, to the town. It's always good to get these kind of things. Public comments. Oh, I was looking over there first. You beat him.
Yeah, I know, it's surprising. Eric Knapp.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned a ribbon cutting ceremony for the Dunkin' Donuts and the Dollar General.
Yes.
We had discussed that in the Economic Development Committee as well.
Yeah.
Jerry Coogan was trying to get the timing on if and when the subway was still coming in before we set a date on that. If you could take the Economic Development Committee schedule into consideration when you schedule that,
Okay.
I'd appreciate it.
Do you have a schedule on what, I'll, once we get a schedule, if you could just let
You
them
mentioned
know.
this Saturday, and I can't be
Yeah.
here this Saturday.
Oh, okay, well, maybe next Saturday then. So, no, I think it's good to have the Economic Development Committee there. They're a very integral part of getting this,
I think it's.
I just get ahold of Jerry Coogan.
yeah.
He canceled the next meeting till
Right.
December.
Can you shoot an email to your committee and ask them what their schedule is like on a Saturday? I
I
mean,
can do that.
appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Catwick?
Okay, my name is John Cowick. Got just a couple of quick items. The first one is, where are we at on that phrase Milton Matters?
Last time I went to one of those meetings, 14 people showed up. I think Donna,
Nelson?
Noseworthy.
forget her last name, my apologies.
Donna,
Donna Marie, yeah, was heading that off. And that was months ago. Haven't heard anything since.
I think they're gonna have a meeting, soon. Because I went to that last meeting too, and, I know it's coming up. I just don't unfortunately know the date, but I can get it and get back to you if you'd like me to.
is this spaghetti dinner or something?
Yeah.
Dinner? Couldn't make that.
Okay, question two. I've heard discussion a couple of times throughout the evening on Primex insurance. My question is, are we negotiating with Primex Insurance on all town-owned buildings for liability because of a process that we're all working on?
I don't believe we have any negotiations as of yet.
All town-owned buildings are automatically covered.
Right, yeah, I know they're covered, but.
That's true. I guess I'll go detail on that, make sure everybody understands where I'm coming from. So policy that it's at a draft stage this time, I believe.
Oh, that.
We're all reviewing, and the question is very, very heavy on liability from Primex on this new policy that we got drafted this time. And I recommend strongly that we all together look at this before we make any decisions with Primex Insurance for next year.
Okay. You know that policy he's talking about, or?
Yeah, it was a draft liability policy
Okay,
for, was it volunteers? I have it on my desk.
No, it's
People
the
working
like,
in
from
buildings,
how
not
it's,
the structures.
how it landed on my desk was that the Milton Townhouse, we're really looking forward to
usage.
starting early spring. In 2016, we have people waiting in line to rent the building.
Okay.
And the insurance is a big little phrase.
And Primex in the past about this, and Primex only covers municipalities. So if a family wanted to have a family get-together at the townhouse building, Primex will not sell them a policy for that day. They have to go to their own insurance company or some insurance company to get a 24-hour certificate,
Yeah,
those
right, yeah.
certificates of liability coverage that we get all the time. Because it's a risk pool. Risk pools only deal with municipalities.
So that's gonna change a lot of status then, right? I guess, if that's the way we have to go, because
I don't know.
we're renting the upstairs of the library all the time for different events, and I'm sure that's gonna affect that.
Yeah.
If
And
it's a
I
town,
guess we do use it downstairs here for different events like spaghetti dinners or beano, whatever they do, I don't know. But would that come under, they have to supply the liability too, or?
well, if somebody gets hurt, Primex is gonna be notified if the person doesn't have an insurance certificate in place.
Well, he's talking like senior bingo.
Well,
But see,
whatever, I'm
that's
just-
a
No,
town
no,
sponsored event
Anything's
though,
not
that's
town
different.
sponsored, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's where I was going
A board
with this.
committee,
Yeah, right.
a board or committee is covered, but in a recreation program, town-sponsored program is covered. It's the the people who want to rent a building
Private
that,
sector.
exactly, private sector, that they need to provide a certificate of insurance. They're relatively inexpensive. You can get them for a 24-hour period to cover the event. We do that now. We require that now when
That would mean that
wherever.
have Primex, we could pay Primex to do that and charge it on the rent to get the reimbursed.
No, because the party renting the place is not a town board or committee. It's not a town-sponsored event.
Private
If
people.
If it's a
Yeah.
private event, a wedding reception at the town whatever.
Yeah.
Primex won't do that. They can't do that by law because it's a risk pool. Risk pools only
Yeah.
can't cover municipality functions
Okay,
and stuff.
okay, all right. All right, it's definitely gonna affect some of the things we're doing today, that's for sure, but that's okay.
Well, they should be able to go, wherever they have their
Right.
car insurance or their,
Yeah, right, I
you know,
agree, right,
just
yeah.
get a thing, a certificate.
I don't agree with you, but I hear you.
Yeah. I look at everything through the eyes of liability.
Yeah, okay.
Everything. I have to.
Yep. Anyone else? Mr. Brown?
Larry Brown, this is a public service announcement. And notice I pushed the voice up. Tuesday, November 10th, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., special election for state rep will be held at the Milton Assembly of God, which is just south of the town hall. The church has made a most courteous effort working with the town to provide a civil voting space. It is accessible. It meets the requirements for the town, which is going to be moving to more voting booths because our size is increasing. If you are a new voter, you can contact the town clerk at 652-4501, extension 3, to find out about registering on voting day. Bob Graham and I are running. Wednesday, November 11th at 11 a.m., Bob Graham and I will be at Veterans Park again, one more time, to celebrate Veterans Day. Vote Tuesday, join us Wednesday. The veterans need to be thanked for the service that makes voting days possible.
Here, here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second that.
Yep. Anyone else? Can't let Larry have the last word. Come on, Eric.
Word.
There you go. Thank you. All right.
Motion to adjourn?
No, I'll get non-public.
Non-public?
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyways, I am going to close the public hearing. Here, public comment, sorry. Any other business? No?
Thursday, 6 o'clock. Load up.
Thursday, 6 o'clock, Loda, meeting. All right, and we're gonna take a 5-minute recess.
Aren't you glad you're
Then we're going non-public.
Probably good.